An ordinary city in the most ordinary buildings, and from one of these buildings someone shouted that he did not agree with something. At this moment, the soul moved into the body of the sleeper, and the young man, as if returning to his body again, opens his eyes and wakes up, bursting out of bed in sweat and shortness of breath, clutching his face. Sitting down and thinking about what had happened, he was shocked at the realization of what had happened to him at the moment. The young man tried to understand what had happened. Did he really not die, and could the corpse be hot touching his face? Our hero thought. Looking at his hands, he realized that there were no calluses on them and his skin was the same as 10 years ago. Repeating this phrase again, he was shocked. Suddenly remembering that he was sitting on the bed, the hero decided to explore his room. It was a room familiar to him and things familiar to him, the young man realized, by the fact that it was the same university dormitory where he lived 10 years ago. The same bunk beds, the same window and tables that students used to study at. Everything was as before. Jumping out of bed and lifting the pillow, he looked at the bed, saw his phone there, and there was a picture of a beautiful girl on the phone. The time on the phone showed 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then the young man decided to look at himself. Turning on the front camera of the phone, the young man saw a young face, touching himself for it. This face that was without scars, and realized that there could be no mistake. He was reborn. He went back to the day when the game Judgment Day appeared. Sitting up on the bed and looking at his phone, the young man remembered that before that he had just become the 10th grade god of war in the land of dragons. Heading through the castle back then, he remembered that 2 war gods from the neutral camp had invited him to a celebration, and when they were talking, the zombie emperor suddenly invaded them. The zombie emperor was a terrible monster with many tentacles and a hideous muzzle with teeth. This monster did not look like a human. When the young man fought the zombie emperor, the 2 gods who invited the hero to this castle betrayed him and joined the zombie emperor, and then posthumously wounded him, our main character. All these actions took place far in the future, when our hero has already aged, and his face had time to cover the scars, and time has completely changed. Lying on the floor, still far in the future, the 2 gods who betrayed him stood next to him. Then he saw a female silhouette walking towards him on heels. He realized who was in front of him. It angered the hero. It was the same girl who was earlier in the photo in his phone, a beautiful student girl who did not age a day, unlike our hero. Right behind her was the zombie emperor, who was peacefully following the girl. It was Yao Jinghan who brought the zombie emperor, and not only managed to reach an agreement with the Lai family, but also completely blocked the legendary world. Yao Jinghan is the first beauty of the university. Of all the possible lucky ones, she chose our hero. He himself was glad that he was dating the most beautiful girl at the university. Together, the guys looked quite great and looked happy. But who knew that before the day of judgment, the lord of the Lai family gave her an assignment to get closer to our hero, and all in order to expand the territories of the Lai family's possessions with his help, and then get rid of the young man. The Lai family belongs to the 3 main clans of the Dragon Country. Their influence in the land of dragons could not be underestimated. At the cost of his appearance, the young man was able to get out of their clutches, being on the verge of death. Once a clean and beautiful face without scars, it was mutilated by a scratch all over the face, and nothing else remained from the old days. For the next 10 years, the young man hid from the non-mercenaries of the Lai family. Going back to the present times, we see a young man sitting on his bed in the dorm and thinking about the girl, because if she wasn't protected by the Li family, he would be able to take revenge on her. The young man thought out loud. But then he realized that now he was reborn and the end of the world had not yet come, and this girl had not yet become his girlfriend, and therefore he could deal with her in advance. Sitting on the bed and thinking our hero and rejoiced at such a coincidence. While he was rejoicing, a message suddenly came to his phone, and looking at it, he saw that Yao Jinghan, the same girl, had just texted him that she was taking classes with the children today and would not be able to celebrate her birthday with him, so she apologized to him in advance. The young man, angry, did not understand what classes she was talking about, because it seemed to him that she was conducting classes completely not where she meant, and he knew where and with whom. He was so unhappy with the current situation that he hit the bed, thinking about what a great gift for his birthday, as he thought, and the guys could still take everything on camera and give it to him. Then there would be no limit to his happiness. He thought that it was necessary to pretend that the young man was not offended in any way. Turning to Yao Jinghan, the young man wrote that there was nothing wrong with that. Since the girl had business, the young man offered to meet later in an abandoned warehouse behind the sports field and wrote that he was bored. Then the girl decided to ask why exactly there, saying that she would have to leave before 6 o'clock, so she had to do everything faster. The young man answered her that he had a surprise for her. The young man wondered why Lai Heabo hated him so much, because he probably would never know. The young man thought it was all because of his father, who died so early. The young man wished with all his heart to celebrate his birthday with a girl for the first time. As a result, I received a shameful video with congratulations. Because they mocked him, the young man missed the best time to improve. But in his new life, he won't let it happen again, and his abusers will pay for everything. Talking about it in his room, the hero decided to act. The sunset was burning and the school children, returning home, thought about why the sky suddenly turned so red, because it even scared someone. One young man told his friend that an expert said that such a phenomenon happens only once in 5,000 years, and therefore he asked his friend not to worry and admire the beauty. Our hero, turning to the sky, thought that this bloody sky was a harbinger of the beginning of the Doomsday Game. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the Doomsday Game will change reality, and the whole world will turn into a huge game. While everyone was enjoying this spectacle, the hero understood that for many this sunset was the last, because few will be able to survive. The young man was heading to the meeting place. Arriving at the appointed place, the young man opened the door and entered the dark sports section, where a girl was waiting for him, sitting on a chair, asking why he came just now and what kind of surprise he had. The girl also asked him to speak faster because she still had classes. The girl was sitting on a chair and scolded the guy, and the same one was smiling at her and saying that she should not worry, because she would soon find out everything. And the young man was pulling a knife out of his sleeve. In front of the hero sat Yao, who looked expectantly at the young man and informed him that if he did not tell her what was the matter, then she would go about her business. At that moment, the young man suddenly grabbed her by the throat and the girl's phone, which she had previously held in her hand, jumped aside. And she, frightened, looked at the young man in horror. She did not understand why the guy grabbed her, saying that the young man had gone crazy and asked her to let go. Then the young man looked at her and began to name the dates. March 16, 478. 53,239 yuan at the Devil Hotel. Then about March 29, 478. 109,984 yuan at the Emperor Kai Hotel. The girl did not understand that the young man was muttering to himself and asked to let her go, but the young man just kept repeating the dates. March 29, 478. 109,984 yuan at the Emperor Kai Hotel. Here the girl convulsively began to remember, but did not understand why all these dates and names of hotels seemed so familiar to her. The young man repeated the new date, April 13th, the nightclub Ghost 4,099,999 yuan, and putting the girl on a chair. He saw from her face that now she understood that he knew everything. And the girl realized that these were the places where she and Lai Heabo made love. Then, looking at her boyfriend, who found out about everything, she rushed to the young man, grabbing his hands and saying that she would explain everything. The guy, still holding her by the throat, smiled, asking how the girl wanted to explain everything to him. Taking her phone and holding Yao at a distance, he unlocked the phone to view their correspondence. In the correspondence, the girl told someone who was called the owner on the phone that she could no longer wait, and was going to him. Then the owner asked if the girl had told Lin Ji. If not, then it was not interesting. The girl wrote that she said and that this idiot believed that she went to conduct classes. Then the owner asked if the girl had prepared a birthday present for her boyfriend, and she replied that the owner should not worry because everything was ready. After that, the girl decided to remind the owner to buy her the bag that she liked. After reading the correspondence, the young man silently looked at the screen, and then clicking on the screen, the recording went on, and he seemed to be voicing this video himself because he remembered it all by heart. The girl said that she was congratulating Lin Ji, who was a rag, on his birthday. Then the young man continued his voice acting. The girl talked about how he himself thought why the most beautiful girl of the university was dating a beggar guy like him. The young man was an orphan and he had nothing but a pretty face. The girl continued to look at the guy with horror and did not understand how he could find out. The young man continued, if Mr. Lai did not need him himself, the girl would not have looked at him. Then, after seeing the video she was recording from Mr. Lai, the girl could not understand how the guy knew all these words. The young man continued that if not for him, Mr. Lai would not have chosen her and now she would not have enjoyed all this luxury, so thank him very much. At this moment, Lin was showing Yao's happy face on his phone. Sinking into a chair, the girl sat in complete misunderstanding of the situation. The young man continued to hold her by the throat until now and asked Yao. Probably she was wondering how he knew all this. Then the young man wished the girl to go to hell and think about it, lifting her by the hand and killing her with his knife, wishing her to die. Then her body fell, flashing her pink hair, and the hero, exhaling heavily and kneeling down, realized that these were his 10 years in a previous life, and realizing this, he began to cry. Then, calming down and starting to grin, he realized that he had finally done it. But it was not enough, after all that he had experienced over these 10 years in his previous life. Calming down, the young man thought about whether there was also Lai Heiabo and his family, who was hiding in their estate. Then the computer distracted him from his emotions, congratulating the owner on his rebirth. The Doomsday Game Trainer system has been activated. Looking at his phone, the young man read that Judgment Day would come at 7 o'clock in the evening, and now it was only 6. Where did this system come from? And besides, Lin had never heard of the trainer system before. Then the computer reported that this system provides data about the Doomsday game, and also brings the owner of the system the best gaming experience. The young man realized that he was in the computer world, where familiarity with the system was completed, so he needed to get his first gaming award. Looking at his hands, the young man did not understand what he was supposed to get here, but then he saw the icon of the download system, where it was written that the reward was being downloaded. The screen that appeared showed an inscription where the young man was congratulated on receiving the first award, Absolute Explosion. Absolute Explosion. When killing any zombies, the benefit of exploding items increases from 1 to 100%. When killing one zombie, you need to blow up one item and the benefits will be greater. In the Doomsday world, 1% is synthesized when an object explodes. Killing a large number of monsters is equal to a weak probability of survival. Looking at all this, the young man realized that his own experience could not compare with all these numbers, and it was not very convincing whether it was really possible to trust this system. And then a screen with information appeared in front of him. On the screen it appeared that this was the trainer system of the Doomsday game. Then there was the name of the hero, a level that could activate an element of the system with every 10th level. The young man's level was 0. Super Trainer 1. Absolute Explosion. When killing any zombies, the benefit of exploding objects increases from 1% to 100. The hero did not have any tasks yet, and there was no regular trainer either. It was all the information that the young man read, considering that it was very cool that now he had all the information he needed and could track it in this system. Looking at the system in front of him, he saw that with every 10th level increase, the owner gets a new super trainer. When completing tasks from the system, the host receives a regular trainer, weapons, items, and other rewards, the system said. Then, overjoyed, the guy thought that with this system he would be able to overthrow the Li family. But then the young man thought that the Lai family was one of the 3 main families of the Dragon Country, and their strength could not be underestimated. This family had not only a huge number of well-trained warriors, but also secret body hardening techniques, so after the Day of Judgment they were able to extract a lot of benefits and strengthen their power. But the young man, standing in the dark hall, reasoned that he could not guess why Lai Heiabo hated him. Perhaps it was because of his dead father. Probably. The young man will be able to find out the truth only if he gets into their family. The young man planned to kill Lai Heiabo, and then hide and gradually strengthen his strength. But since he now has a system, he will be able to become stronger much faster, and then destroy the Lai family. Wearing a hood, the hero moved towards the Crimson Sunset. Leaving the hall, the young man said that he was already going to the Lai clan. The body of the girl he dealt with was left lying in the hall. The Crimson Sunset was shining, and people walking along the streets, rejoicing in their day, looked at how beautiful it looked. Everywhere there were couples who were enjoying their lives and how they were in love, wanted to go somewhere or take a beautiful photo. The hero, passing by them, thought that now they are enjoying love, but very soon they will start killing each other. The young man came to the Love Hotel, greeted the manager. He asked for a room with hourly payment and also asked to bring 3 bottles of water and 5 buns. To himself, the young man thought that if this system turns out to be unreliable, it is better to prepare and stock up on food. The manager, reading magazines, did not pay attention to the young man at all, but without turning around he said that a room for 1 was 40 yuan per hour, rolls cost 3 yuan, and water for 2. Clearing his throat, the guy held the booklets in his hand and asked him to call the girl number 3. Lying in his room, the hero watched what was happening on his phone. In 5 minutes it was supposed to be 7 o'clock in the evening. The last time the girl he called became the main boss of zombies in the area. And the last time the hero grabbed the dagger began to defend himself from the girl with horror looking at what was happening to her. After she turned into a zombie, he killed her right in this room. Looking at the phone, he thought that this time he would be able to do everything faster, sort everything out and get a reward, and at the same time check the system that he now had. Then they knocked on the room and said that the girl at number 3 had come. Then the guy asked to come in, because the door was open. The beauty who appeared came inside and said that the guy was very cute and that she was lucky. Climbing on the bed to the young man, she asked why he was not ready for her arrival yet. The hero just looked at her without answering anything. Then the girl began to prepare herself, because after the young man she had another client. The guy asked the girl to go to the shower, because he thought to himself that the smell of zombies came from her. Before the beginning of the end of the world, there are signs by which you can understand who will turn. After waiting a little, the young man took a knife out of his bag and decided to go to the shower, where the girl was already taking a bath. When she heard footsteps, she said that she knew that the young man would want to play, so she was already waiting and asked to come in quickly. After turning off the water, suddenly the girl's body went to divorce, resembling a disease, and she began to turn into a zombie, while she screamed terribly, and when she flew out of the bath, our hero was already waiting for her. And then the girl turned into a terrible zombie, as the guy thought, heading towards him. She wanted to attack him, but the young man was ready and therefore pulled out his knife and killed the zombie, who immediately died. Exhaling that he had coped with the first zombie, the hero found himself on the system panel, which reported that the guy got into the Doomsday game. The computer wrote to him that the game had already started, stopping was impossible, and all players had to develop independently. The system showed that zombies in this world have sharp hearing, but with weak eyesight they can only notice moving objects. In front of the guy was a complete summary of information about zombies, as well as how they looked. The system also reported that Judgment Day had already arrived. 80% of the people of this world were turned into zombies, the remaining 20% were lucky. The computer asked me to enjoy the game process. Of course, the main goal is to survive, because if the hero dies, he will not be able to continue the game. In order for the game process to be more successful, it was necessary to familiarize yourself with the rules, and there were rules for survival in front of the young man. The first rule sounded like this: killing people, animals that turned into zombies. The player increased his level, and also received new elements. Game experience and level were closely related. Level, then reputation, after coins, a place for stocks, basic characteristics, talents and attributes. The second rule, for killing people, animals that turn to zombies, the player received equipment, items and material resources. In front of him was a scale of levels and equipment in the game. First there was bronze, then silver, followed by gold, then diamond. After diamond there were epic, legendary and mythical levels. The computer also asked the young man and hoped that he was not scared to death yet. As for the higher levels, while the hero did not need this information, the system believed. The young man stood silently and listened to all the rules that appeared in front of him. The computer has already reported further that opportunities are hidden everywhere in this world, and the young man should pay special attention to their search. Modern technologies in this world were now useless, including means of communication. It was shown on the computer screen that cellular means were now unavailable, including telephone communication and any other. All communication technologies create interference, and therefore it was not worth trying to use them. But still the phone could be left to read books and play games. Then the system reported how people turned into zombies. It was possible to turn into a zombie only through a bite or wound, so you had to not be afraid of the contagiousness of zombie blood. If, say, the hero killed him and blood got on him, then he would not turn. Nighttime increases the basic characteristics of zombies. It is better to hide at this time. Zombies were able to evolve over time, so you had to try to keep up with them. There's a lot more that the trainee system could tell him and the game itself as a whole, but it wasn't worth doing now because the system wanted to see who could survive in the next 7 days. Now the zombies were very weak and therefore it was necessary to kill as many as possible. And the game said that the young man would not complain that she did not warn him. It was necessary to remember that nothing is impossible in the Doomsday game. The last thing the computer wanted for our hero was a pleasant game. The young man stood and looked attentively at the screens and listening to all this with a stone face, held in his hands a knife with which he had just killed the first zombie, who had recently been a man. After all the rules and explanations, the game asked him to enter the player's name. Thinking about himself, the young man decided to take a different name and start his path of revenge. The path will prepare to pay for all those who offended him in the past, and by entering the name Yitsu, the hero decided to continue this day. The game congratulated the player Yitsu on the successful killing of zombies and told him that he gets 1 experience point and 1 coin, and goes to the second level. The game congratulated the young man on becoming the first player to kill a zombie and achieve the best result on this planet: the first drops of blood. This information will be available to all players. At this moment, the hero was standing in front of the body of the girl number 3, who had recently been a living person. The young man was calm and just listened to what the system was telling him, watching the corpse that lay right in front of him. Yazai, the player Lin had such a name now, was happy about it. He finally achieved a result that would be published. All his past life, he fought and even became a god of war, but he had never been awarded like that, so the young man rejoiced. The system showed that there was a general announcement that informed everyone that she was congratulating the player Yazai on killing the first zombie. The young man became the first to achieve the best result on the planet, the first drop of blood. The system also advised everyone that it was necessary to take an example from the player Yazai. At this time, zombies began to walk the streets and all the people tried to hide, running away from them. A girl named Jai Yao, sitting in the library, was indignant that she had not even finished conceiving the instructions yet, and someone had already been able to kill a zombie. It shocked and amazed her at the same time. Another player named Gu Geaji, standing with a bat, was completely drenched in blood, and a zombie he had just killed was lying in front of him. The young man was surprised at who managed to get ahead of him, and he was very interested to look at this person. Our hero decided to sit down and an information summary appeared in front of him about himself. Player Yazai, nicknamed the First Drop of Blood, who had a second level reputation, 1,000 in coins, 1,001. It also reported its basic characteristics. The strength was equal to 11, the energy of 15, the body quality of 10 and the speed of 13. Talents were also indicated on the summary. Deep study, epic level talent, saying that the young man knew a lot of fighting techniques and could also apply basic skills. There were 4 attributes. Strength affects physical strength and attack power. Energy affects skill release ability, cooldown, and frequency of use. Body quality affects the ability to survive and defend. Speed affects reaction and speed. All this was also reported in the summary, which could be requested from the system at any time and see what was added there and what was less. Looking at the screen, the hero smiled and thought that the energy and speed were quite great. There was also an epic level talent. In a previous life, the young man would not have achieved this in 10 years, as he believed. The hero also received reputation points and coins for some types of equipment. Reputation was just needed. There were often discounts in the store. The last drop of blood, our hero now had such a nickname, and he sat thinking about what he had learned. And the most important thing is the title. Now, when he kills every day, the power of defeat will increase by 100%. They also gave him 4 attribute points for nothing. This will increase the power of defeat many times more. When he entered the room, he saw that there was some kind of meditation pendant in front of the zombie. It was a basic level equipment. When using this equipment, the energy will increase by 1 point, and the energy recovery rate will increase by 10%. Overjoyed by this, the young man thought that it was very cool, and indeed that reward of 100% explosion worked. Immediately won the bronze equipment. Then the system popped up, saying that the young man used the trainer system wisely and did not forget about the existence of the system. At the same time, the young man, scratching his head and smiling shyly, decided to take his pendant. After that, he said that he understood everything. If he had such a chance, then how could he not take advantage of it? At night, the power of zombies increases and it was necessary to hide until it was 8 o'clock in the evening. And before that, the hero decided that he could kill even more zombies, so Yazai will start with other rooms in this hotel. Getting up from the floor and stretching, yawning, the young man, taking out his knife, decided to go wander around the hotel. But then something attracted his attention, and he turned around. After leaving the room, the hero went for a walk around the hotel. Making his way along the corridor, the hero was careful and walked carefully, holding a knife in his hands. There was a room in front of him from where strange sounds were coming, and he pulled the door handle, after which, opening the door with his foot, he saw that a zombie was standing in front of him. After turning into zombies, people retain some of the features that they had during their lifetime. This zombie seems to have been doing a lot of physical labor. After seeing a zombie heavily pumped up, information appeared in front of the young man that it was an ordinary zombie and his level was equal to 1. The basic characteristics sounded like strength equal to 12 and energy equal to 5. Body qualities were 13, and speed was 9. The young man thought that even if this zombie had characteristics higher by a couple of points than other zombies, but he decided that he would cope with him easily. Standing in front of him and teasing, the zombie ran at our hero, and the young man began to evade his attacks. Although the zombie was of the first level, he was strong enough. Plunging a knife into the zombie's throat, the young man thought he had won, but he still tried to attack him. But after an unsuccessful attempt, our hero defeated the zombie. The system showed that the zombie was dead and congratulated the young man on killing the zombie and getting 1 experience point and 1 coin. The young man thought that this time he did not cope very well, because he could not kill a zombie with 1 blow. The falling corpse in front of him upset the young man. The zombie was lying on the floor and a reward appeared next to this zombie, which gave a material resource. Seeing this, the young man began to read the summary that he had come across a beef fillet steak. It was a beef steak cooked according to a special recipe of Donglan County. With the addition of a special prepared soy sauce, this will make a great dinner. Method of use: after activation, the steak will appear in the hands of the hero at the optimal temperature. The young man saw that material resources was written on the card, and now it was very valuable. But when the store opens, it will cost only 100 coins, so it was nothing special. But to begin with, the young man decided that it would work in opening the system, which depicted the cells that were called a backpack. The young man put a steak in his virtual backpack and went on. There was a bag in the corridor and the young man decided to climb into it. In the bag he saw a photo where a happy father was holding his daughter, and taking out a hammer, the hero realized that this man had been a repairman before, because there were tools in this bag, and a child's badge was pasted on the tool. The hero decided to check all the rooms, but there was no one in them, and then in the next room he heard sounds. There was someone in room 206, and breaking the lock, the hero burst into the room, telling him to open it, and it was a fight against prostitution. But such a sight appeared to his eyes that the hero did not expect that it was possible. Looking at it with slight bewilderment and surprise, he even froze in his pose. When he entered the room, he saw that 2 zombies were in bed and realized that he had forgotten that he was in a hotel of love, and not in an ordinary hotel. Going inside the young man, I realized that even though people turned into zombies, but how to do it, they have not forgotten. Then the enraged zombie, seeing that the young man had disturbed them again, flew straight to him and began attacking the young man. Then our hero joked that he really prevented these 2 zombies. Looking at the former man in front of him, the hero realized that this zombie's characteristics were 2 points lower than that of the worker he had killed earlier. The zombie was too furious and tried to attack our hero, but he attacked the zombie in response, was able to defeat him with 2 blows, and then the girl who ran from behind, attacking our hero. The computer reported that the young man killed 2 zombies and received 2 experience points and 2 coins. Then 2 boxes appeared in front of him and, overjoyed, the guy realized that it was a double reward. It looks like the system was telling the truth about the 100% explosion. In a previous life, after killing 100 zombies, he could only get half a bottle of water. But in this life he was incomparably lucky, and I rejoice at how great it was to be lucky. The young man opened these boxes. The system congratulated the hero because he received the Explorer's Eye in a double copy. It was a one-time bronze level tool that helped to explore the situation within a radius of 10 meters. Once was enough for 10 hours, and the hero decided to use this skill. Sitting in the corridor, he heard that someone was shouting and complaining that someone was making noise upstairs, saying that now he would punish this villain. And then a man was coming up the stairs. When he saw the young man, he was very angry that he was making a fuss. Approaching the young man, the man asked him to kneel down and ask for forgiveness or he would expel the hero from here, and tried to hit the young man. But he didn't care, and he just dodged his weak attacks himself, holding a knife behind his back. The man was very unhappy that the young man dodged his attacks and tried to hide from him, saying that he would find him and deal with him. Then the hero, standing right above him, told the man that it was too hard to kill him now, so it would have been better for him to wait an hour until the zombie bit him. After that, then the young man would finish him off, but unfortunately, immediately the young man thought that he could kill a lot more zombies. So he did not want to waste time on the man and decided to kill him in advance, saying that in the world after the end of the world, the one who had a stronger blow survives. But it's a pity that it wasn't about this man. Knocking on the next door, the hero said that he had come to clean the sewer. Then again at another door and said that he had come to fix the bed, and knocking on the next door, he said that it was a food delivery, but no one answered him from all these doors. Then passing by another room he heard some sounds and thought that it was from a zombie. Opening the door to the hero, I saw a zombie standing right in front of him. It was a man in torn clothes who started attacking our hero directly. But the young man dodged. Even though this big guy was very fast, attacking him, he began to deal with zombies, depriving him of life with just one blow. For killing this zombie, he was entitled to a trophy, vodka fashion, and the young man rejoiced, saying that this big guy helped him perfectly, holding his trophies in his hands. After searching the entire room and not seeing anyone in this room, the hero decided that today he would spend the night right here, and dropping his things decided to see what was new in the system. The system also informed the respected player Yatsu that he had 6 experience points left before going to level 3. Looking at his phone, the young man, he was very excited and surprised because he saw that it would soon be 8 o'clock in the evening. Going down the stairs, the hero thought that he had to kill 6 zombies in 20 minutes to move to the 3rd level. And running to the side, he saw that there was no one at the reception, although it was written that the girl number 3 serves at any time at the request of the client. Then paying attention to number 3, the hero realized that he had killed 2, and if there were only 3 of them, then there was 1 more left, and taking a hammer, the hero decided to knock on the table. According to the settings of the game, zombies came out to sound. Then the curtain shook nearby, and entering it, the hero saw a room, and then he saw a box on the wall from which sounds were coming. Pushing this box away, and thought that this zombie had climbed too far. Then looking down, he saw how 1 zombie was crawling up, and another one was crawling after him. But then they fell, and it was very funny for the hero, so he decided to climb into the place where the zombies were fighting and fight them too. The system, popping up, said that the young man killed 2 zombies and received 2 experience points, and in order to move to the 3rd level, he had to get 4 more points. Looking at his knife, the hero thought that he was already blunt and it was difficult for them to kill zombies, so he hoped that the game would give him some kind of weapon as a reward. Then some light appeared next to him, and the hero was dissatisfied with this. The young man thought that the light with which he was at first dissatisfied and went away from danger, but then he saw that the sword of Tang appeared in front of him, and thinking that the thoughts were material, the hero was very happy. As he took out his sword, the young man thought that he would have more than just steak for dinner today. The system reported about 2 fragrant mamtu, which had no special properties. The sword of Tang. It was a bronze-level weapon developed during the Tang era in the Land of Dragons. The length of the sword was 70 centimeters, high strength and capable of piercing armor. Taking the sword out of the scabbard, the hero was very happy that he received this weapon. Characteristics: Strength +1 ability, weaken the enemy's defense by 10%, and after the end of the battle, gradually restore the sword. The region of weapons was used by the Tang era wars of the Dragon Country. The young man thought that in fact such a weapon could be bought later, but now it was most welcome to him, and added the weapon to his virtual backpack. Looking at the phone, he saw that there were 10 minutes left, and therefore decided to get out of the place where he had previously killed zombies. Going outside, the hero stood and waited for the zombies to come up to him. Then 4 zombies came out to meet him at once, which just the same were needed in order to finish their mission. When they saw the guy, they immediately ran at him, and, not fitting into the aisle, they all fell right in front of him. The hero, seeing this sight, thought that he had overestimated the mental abilities of the zombies of the first day. In a previous life, on the first day of the game, the young man sat in the room and thought that his life was over, and on the second day the zombies had already moved to the 2nd level, and the hero missed such a time because he was drinking. The young man decided that he would no longer make such a mistake as last time, so he took out the ball and decided to deal with the zombies that were coming right at him. Zombies surrounded the young man, and then he decided to deal with them at the same time. Taking out his sword, he began to attack them and defeating all 4 at once. Making sure that everyone was dead, looked at the sword, the hero thought that this sword was of excellent quality, so he decided to remove it and see what the system would tell him. The system also informed the hero that she congratulated her on the fact that he killed 4 zombies and received 4 experience points and 4 coins, so he moved to the 3rd level and received 1 free point to the characteristics. To advance to the 4th level, he needed to score another 30 points. Sighing and rubbing his forehead, the hero thought that it was luck that he managed to move to a new level. Then he heard a sound in front of him was another zombie. Looking at the zombie girl, the hero was delighted, because it was a zombie with some kind of intelligence and even came to him herself. Then taking his sword, the young man attacked the zombie again and killed her. At the same time, he was even excited by the fact that it was an unusual zombie. He was immediately able to defeat her, and a skill appeared next to the zombie. The hero was glad there was a book with skills in front of him. Looking at the phone, he saw that the screen showed him 8 in the evening, and suddenly there was a danger in front of him. The hero managed to jump back in time. Looking in front of him, it was a zombie. The computer reported that the characteristics of the zombies were of the 1st level. Basic characteristics: Strength 15, Energy 10, Body Quality 16, and Speed was 15. As night fell, the computer explained that at night the zombie gets more different buffs, the body characteristics increase, and it becomes more difficult to defeat the zombies, and asked the players to look for the right moment. A huge zombie appeared in front of the young man, who was very strong. His eyes were burning red, and his body was very strong. He was standing right in front of the young man, and the hero defending the ball thought that the strength of this zombie had increased to the maximum in just 1 minute, and he had to deal with him within the next minute, so the hero decided to attack the zombies first. He pointed his sword at him, who tried to chop off his head, but realized that he did not have enough strength and he could not even injure this zombie properly, but only angered him. Then jumping away from him, the hero took out his hammer and decided to attack him with his hammer, launching the hammer directly into the head of this zombie. The hammer did not kill him, and then the hero decided to use his last weapon that he had left. It was a knife, and then pulling out his sword, he decided to attack him again with this ball. The young man took the sword out of his body and decided to attack the zombie. But the zombie was very strong and very angry for what the heroes were doing to him, so he headed straight at him from the back, which the young man accordingly did not expect. The zombie starts attacking our hero and he starts attacking him in response with his sword. Defeating the zombie, the young man looks at all the defeated zombies that were before him, thinking about the characteristics that have already reached a peak if not for his experience. The plus was that he had time to prepare, otherwise the young man knew that he would have lost. While all the ZRMBI were lying on the floor, artifacts appeared next to them that the young man could collect. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening and the characteristics of all the zombies outside had increased by at least 50, our hero thought, putting the corpses in one place. He fought with the last zombie for too long. If he hadn't managed to finish everything off, he could have attracted others here, and having put all in one place, the hero decided to look at the computer what he was telling him. The system told the young man that he used the eye of the researcher. If a person or a zombie approaches him, the protective barrier of the researcher's eye will immediately turn red. The young man will receive a warning and will be able to accurately determine the location of the enemy. At this moment, the hero was setting his eye directly on the floor, after which, exhaling, the young man decided to rest a little and go to the shower. Coming out of the shower, relieved and refreshed, our hero decided to look at what was in front of him. There were several boxes on the table next to him and he saw that there were 2 more eyes of the researcher, a Peking duck, mineral water and a twilight ring. In his previous life, he had to spend a lot to buy all this. Now it got to the young man just like that and the hero could not understand it, but he was very glad. Looking at the ring, he realized that it was a cool thing. It made the young man very happy. The computer reported that the twilight ring was a bronze level equipment that was great for disguising at twilight. The speed was +1. But after dusk it reduced the feeling of presence by 30%. The young man decided to put on the ring and see what would happen. Then a skill book appeared in front of him, which shone directly into the young man's face. The hero wanted to watch it, and the system informed the respected player Yang Zai that she congratulated him on receiving a skill book and now he could use an unlimited number of skills from this book during the game. The young man, of course, thought that the number of skills was unlimited, because the explosion coefficient of this item was also unlimited. Ordinary players of 10-80 levels can receive special skills only 3 times. So, for example, a level 80 player had only 3 skill lists, and that was it. The young man saw the unfortunate ones who managed to get only 3 skills in the end, and then these skills did not fit them. As about the young man we talked about earlier, many players at 60-70 levels had only the skills acquired by their new profession. The person who managed to get the most skills received the nickname of the God of Skills. In total, such a person managed to score 25 species. In his previous life, the hero possessed almost 10 types of skills, which already exceeded 99% of the players. And after looking at the Book of Skills, the hero reached out to her, praying to Buddha, Allah, Jesus, and the Jade Sovereign together, so that they would take care of him when he opened this book, thinking that let him get the best skill so that he could successfully start this life, and the hero decided to open the pages of this book. And just as he opened the golden pages of the skill book, he came across a spin attack. Spin attack is a war skill. 120% of defeats are achieved by throwing a weapon, and after reaching the furthest distance or the enemy's body, the weapon returns back. The flight distance of the weapon to the target and back is the same. If the weapon touches the enemy during the return flight, the percentage of damage is 80%. If the weapon encounters obstacles, it does not return back. The young man, madly rejoicing and looking at the book, thought that this was a very rare skill. This skill allows you to return weapons back, and even increases the percentage of enemy defeat. However, the skill's recovery time is quite long. When the hero increases his energy level, he will be able to reduce this time and then he will be on top, sitting in his room. He was insanely happy because he was able to receive for that day. The system asked if the young man wanted to learn the skill, the conversion attack, and the hero pressed the yes button. Taking his sword, he decided to try this skill, but then suddenly he realized that he was insanely hungry and deciding that he needed to eat first. He went into his virtual backpack and chose the food that he had presented. There was a chicken, eggs, schnitzel, alcohol, and a burger on the table in front of the young man. Thinking about how delicious it all was and looked in 5-star restaurants, the hero began to eat. After eating, he collected all the garbage and decided that he needed to rest a little. Looking at the moon that was in front of him, the hero thought that if he wanted revenge, he could no longer follow the plot of the game, as in his previous life. Otherwise, he would step on the same rake, and choosing a pen from his store with the paper, he decided to write a letter. On the paper it was written warrior, mage, and he began to paint about the warrior. Warrior, as you level up, your strength and body qualities also increase by 1 point. 2 points are added to any characteristics you can choose as desired. When choosing the path of defense, the quality of the body increases. When choosing the path of a warrior, you need to increase your strength. When choosing an assassin, you need to increase the speed. When choosing an arrow, you need to increase the probability of hitting the target. Specialist warriors can notice changes in energy and speed. The most important thing is to go according to your real strength. Mage, when you level up, 1 point is added to energy and speed, and 2 points are added to the characteristics at will. Most players mainly increase energy if it is necessary to improve the quality of the body or strength. Then you can become a warrior mage. Only 1% of players belong to the secret specialty. The probability of activating a top-class secret specialty was very small. Here the young man wrote a word, a ghost, on his paper, thinking that if he had succeeded in his previous life, then he would succeed in this one. The secret specialty, unlike the usual specialties, takes only 1% of the players who received a top-class secret specialty. There was even less. After reaching the 10th level, the player can activate the experience in the system and choose a suitable scenario for himself. Although the tasks for the secret specialty are extremely dangerous, but the reward was also great. Earlier, the young man wrote about a ghost. Ghost, it was a special specialty, the highest level of the assassin's specialty, which increases the speed to the maximum, and also gives a huge percentage of the enemy's defeat. Before changing the specialty, as the level increases, speed and strength increase by 2 points, and special characteristics increase by 3 points of choice. If the young man hadn't activated a special ghost in his past life, he wouldn't have been able to hide from the Lee family for 10 years. The hero wrote all this, and summing up, everyone who received these specialties, which he wrote about earlier, in the future become gods of war or gods of magic. Then he decided to paint about a knight of light, a magician of dead souls, an asura demon, a titan, a life eater. After that, the hero decided to look at his characteristics that he had and add strength to himself. Then he decided to think about how he met the holy knight, then remembered about that diamond level item. The young man thought that he should have written about it earlier, because now he did not remember where the sword that the hero had once seen was. Morning came, and the young man was destroying everything in the house, saying that he could not calm down, because his plan went awry, and everything was because of this girl Yao Jinghan. He was unhappy, thinking about where she was, because not only was he unable to finish collecting the material because of her, they also did not send a gift in time to this garbage Lin Ji. The young man was destroying everything around him, saying that this damn game also came at the wrong time. In front of us was Lai Heabo, the young master of the Lai family. The butler who stood behind him and silently watched the young man's hysteria was Special Assistant Lai Heabo, who informed the gentleman to be a little quieter. Many of their guards had already been fatally wounded, and if their house was attacked by zombies again, they would not be able to stand. Turning to the butler, who had been silent before, the young man asked how he thought, if he killed this young man Lin Ji, then he would be able to meet his late father. At this moment, 2 people were fighting at once, and the butler, the angel, was saying that the master had specially brought up the young master in this way. And the devil was saying that he could not be mistaken. If the Lai family had only one capable heir, it would help to avoid internecine strife. With such a character, it would not be easy for the young master after the coming of the end of the world. Addressing Zhao Bo, the young man said that he would not calm down. Then the butler again asked what had happened, to which the young master asked him if his father had not said a couple of days ago that a company of hired hunters would come to him. Maybe the time has already come to send them to these 2. He talked about finding Yao alive or dead, and also this guy Lin Ji, he will bring him to a nervous breakdown. The butler also reported that these mercenaries had been specially trained for the young man since childhood. They would definitely cope with any task that the young man would give them. Then the gentleman thought about how he would sweetly take revenge on the girl Yao and the guy Lin. At this moment, our hero began to sneeze, thinking that someone was clearly remembering him. Lin Zilo jumped out of the window and was ready to go about his business. There were zombies everywhere around him. He packed all the essentials in a backpack and decided to attack the zombies with a sword that was in his hand. The computer congratulated him on killing a zombie, received 1 experience point and 1 coin. And this happened several times until the young man moved to the 4th level and received 1 point of characteristics of his choice. After that, in order to move to the next level, he needed to gain 40 experience points, so he killed the zombies that were next to him. Looking at his sword, the hero was glad that the rotation strikes were a great thing that he used yesterday to raise the energy level as well, and then the hero will definitely be satisfied. Thinking that the recovery time of the rotation stroke was too long, the hero realized that it was enough for today. He collected all his attributes, which fell to him. Among them were a clean men's shirt, spicy chicken with rice, and a super accurate watch. The system congratulated the young man on the fact that he received new tools, and when he saw what kind of tool it was, the young man was very surprised and delighted. At the same time, there was a scroll in front of him. It was a scroll of reinforcement and equipment, a bronze level item. This scroll can increase the level of bronze level equipment. And taking the scroll, the hero thought that something was finally useful. The equipment after the reinforcement also increases in characteristics, and at the first use the reinforcement was guaranteed. Then the quality of the gain will depend on the increase or decrease in the level. The hero, standing in the middle of the trees and taking out his sword, decided to try how successful the reinforcement was, and then the computer congratulated him, saying that the hero received the Sword of Tan +1. Sword of Tang, a bronze-level weapon that was used by the Tang Wars of the Dragon Country. The length of the sword was 70 centimeters. It has the ability to penetrate armor as well as high strength. After strengthening, also strengthen the characteristics. The strength characteristic was +2, the ability to lower the enemy's defenses by 15%. With the studied blows, the strength increases by 10%, and after the battle is able to establish damage. The hero was delighted with what he had, and opening the computer, he looked at his personal characteristics of the player Yatsu. The level of the special forces showed the main characteristics, and seeing that there was a plus sign next to the force, he pressed it. At this moment the hero put his sword in his backpack, and the system congratulated him on the fact that the young man received a mask with concealment. The concealment mask was a bronze level item that allowed you to hide your nickname level and other basic information for 30 minutes. It was possible to use it twice a day as much as possible. At this moment, the hero put on his mask, and it was successfully activated, and decided to lie down to rest. The hero decided that after he rested, he would continue his journey. Looking at the sky, the young man reflected that if he reached the 5th level today, he could immediately go into battle and not waste time on quests. Quest is also the best way to earn experience points, food, and equipment in the Doomsday game. The player only needs to find one of the many portals to the quest. There are also separate special quests that he can complete in separate places. It was also possible to get a big reward. The hero decided that as soon as he gets a level, he will immediately go to the estate of the Li family. Having collected all his attributes, the hero decided to use one of them, which was for hours. Making his way through the zombies that lay dead on the ground, he went to the side. Li family homes. There were abandoned houses in front of him, and he was attracted by 2 doors that were connected by 1 lock. Breaking this lock, he entered the building. Chairs, cups were scattered in front of him, and everyone said that life was boiling here recently. But then he saw traces of blood and a zombie appeared in front of him. It was very unexpected for the young man, but he managed to chop off his hands so that he would not attack him. Then he heard a cough behind him. Then the hero felt that there were more zombies behind him, and having killed the next one, he decided to move further into the house. Then a picture of a family appeared before him. He realized that this house was someone's family. He realized how many people had already turned into zombies and that he could not sympathize with everyone. The computer opened in front of him and the menu was presented, and there was so much that the heroes did not know what to choose. But then what would come across would be, he decided and chose food from the menu. Sitting on the sofa in front of him there was a lot of food, and he decided to eat. Then the hero lay down and decided to see where he was now. And now he was on Pinction Street, and after lunch he would go east and reach about a certain point on the map that he was looking at. He still had to score a few points up to the 5th level, and just on the way home, if he killed a couple of zombies, then that should be enough. Stretching, the guy realized that he had to go further, but he realized that there were several zombies in front of him, and the young man was only thinking about how to fill his stomach, forgetting about these rats. Here, standing next to the door, the hero heard that someone was discussing whether he had left or not and asked if someone had heard the sound of footsteps. There were 3 people sitting in the bushes, 1 girl and 2 guys. The guy asked if the hero came out of this house or not yet, because they also smelled food. Like he did then, the young man decided to go out the window and heard that they were discussing how he had a couple of food cards. The girl who was behind them said that it was not good to take away food by force. But the young man next to her laughed, because it was inevitable, it was necessary to threaten the guy with a knife, then he himself would give them all his cards. At that moment, while they were discussing all this, our hero got out through the window and was already sitting behind them, watching these 3 rats that were thinking about how to rob him and take away his food. Only the girl was sad and thought that it was all wrong. In the bushes sat Jai Kaiji, who was the girl's brother and who told the girl that it was necessary to think logically. If the young man broke down their door, then it was a burglary with penetration. The sister said that most likely it was so. The girl thought to herself that dad had become a zombie. She and her brother immediately ran out of the room and even took nothing with them, and had not eaten anything since yesterday. So there was nothing to do because this guy had food, and then she decided that she would be with everyone and that it was necessary to take away the young man's food. And our hero attacked them at this time. After injuring 1 young man with his sword, drops of blood fell on the girl, and jumping back, she began to scream, because until recently a guy was standing next to her, and now he was dead. Our hero, standing with his back to her with a bloody sword, said that he wanted to save some energy, but he did not want zombies to be attracted here and attacking the girl. He killed her and her brother. When he finished dealing with them, he decided that they had no reason to live without each other, and for the fact that they wanted to rob him, they got what they deserved. Lin believed that they still had to thank him for stabbing them and just letting them die quickly, otherwise in this game they would have only suffered, and thinking that he had done a good deed again, the state had to reward him. There were drops of blood everywhere. 2 family members who had recently survived were also dead, as was their father, who became a zombie. Having dealt with all of them, the hero decided to go further. At that moment it was already getting dark. The sky was burning with a crimson-red sunset again. Zombies were walking in the streets, looking for food, and decided to climb the building in which people were hiding. The girl who was looking out the window was calling her dear one to see if it was a superhero. But the young man did not understand what his girlfriend was talking about, asking about what kind of superhero she meant, because they locked the door and zombies definitely would not come to them. Then the girl asked to look at the young man in the window, who mercilessly killed zombies right and left. Seeing this, the young man who was standing next to his girlfriend said that this guy was just like a master, so he dealt masterfully with these zombies. But due to the fact that the young man was wearing a mask, they could not find out any basic information about him. The girl, inspired by the fact that she saw such a hero, decided that they should have called him to her. Maybe then he would help them. Her boyfriend said that she had come up with something strange, because if they didn't show their location, then a bunch of zombies would come to them. Besides this person, he disappeared for information, so he didn't want to reveal his identity. Would he really want to help them after all this? A girl with purple hair was shown on the phone, who was conducting her live broadcast, and immediately she was looking out of the window and shouting about whether he wanted to save this poor girl who had just been on the phone screen. The young man, not paying attention to her, began to collect his attributes, which included toothpaste, meat and mustard, and medicines from products. The girl continued at this moment to shout from the window, saying that really the young man did not understand who she was because she had 30,000 subscribers on the internet, and this meant that he had to save her. Picking up a flower, she said that rich men gave her cars every day, and some guy in a mask just ignored her, and she decided to show him by throwing a flower at the young man. Hearing this, the hero turned and saw that a pot with a flower fell next to him. The girl attracted his attention and started shouting again that she was here and asked to save her soon, because she had several zombies here. She was scared, and if he saved her, she would become his wife. The heroine thought about herself that some beggar was playing a game with her, and who did he think she was at all? At this time, the young man used meat with the zombie virus, which was called zombie seducer among the players. If you get this meat, the zombies in the area of 100 meters will immediately go to his smell, and holding this terrible meat in his hand, he threw it out the window directly to this girl. She thought that he just threw her food and said that she needed a safe place, not food. Did he not understand her? She could not understand what was wrong with this guy. Then the door opened into her room and a bunch of zombies fell in, tearing the girl apart, and her phone just crashed and lay next to her. Messages were still coming in the broadcast chat. Did the girl really have the mood to blog, and how could she even live this life? Someone asked how it was possible to raise these quests, and just tried to find out at least some information through this chat. But no one answered there. The hero went on, thinking to himself that this would be the first lesson of the end of the world. Without taking off his mask and not paying attention to anyone, he decided to achieve his goal, and therefore went straight to her. The first lesson of the end of the world was this: there was no need to ask for help from just anyone, our hero thought. Walking down the street, and zombies fell from everywhere next to him and ran after him. The devil's capital, a sports center. The young man was heading straight for him, and it had to be here. 2 hours left before nightfall. Looking at the clock, the hero thought that he had enough. A special silver-level treasure chest should be hidden in this sports center. According to the game settings, various quests, robot traders or treasure chests appear in significant places of the city. Treasure chests fall directly to the ground and anyone can open them. In order for the boss chest to appear, it is necessary to kill the main boss, and the value of such chests is higher, but it was very difficult to get them. Silver chests contain silver-level weapons hidden by equipment. Here the system reported that the young man had come to the sports center of the devil's capital, and the situation in the sports center was suitable for the task. The new task was one is worth hundreds. The guy listened carefully to the tasks and began to read what it meant. He had to show his real strength and kill 100 zombies in the sports center. The level was unlimited. The requirements of the task are 0 out of 100. The rewards for the task are 1 simple trainer, 1 bronze level item. The completion time was 24 hours. 100 zombies. The young man was surprised. Now most of the zombies have already moved to the second level, and this center was very large. He just wanted to find the chest and hide, and not kill zombies, but now suddenly this task appeared and the young man became interested. And if he refuses the task or fails it, what will he get for it? Then the system asked the young man not to worry, because the trainer system was created to help the young man and to make him enjoy the gameplay. So there is no punishment for refusing the task or not fulfilling it. On the contrary, the young man will receive a comforting 100 coins. Our hero was very surprised by this answer. In any case, even if he loses, he will not lose anything. The hero thought and decided to accept the task. As far as he could remember, the silver chest was supposed to be hidden in a warehouse on the 3rd floor, and if you went through the door that was in front of him, you could go through a safe way, so he went straight there. When he reaches the first aid post on the 2nd floor, it will already be 8 o'clock in the evening. Our hero decided to spend the night there. There was a bed in the first aid post, so he could sleep there. And tomorrow he would continue his journey again, and by about lunch the next day he would reach the warehouse on the 3rd floor. And when he found the chest, he would leave here by jumping off to the outer floor. That's the plan our hero had, who broke the lock on the door with his ball and decided to go further. But then a zombie appeared in front of him, the first one he decided to attack. Attacking a zombie, the young man decided to deal with him with 1 sword. But 1 sword was not enough, so the hammer that he kept with him went in, and after defeating the zombie basketball player, he died. The young man thought to himself that probably this young man did not think that he would come to play basketball and turn into a zombie. Then looking at him, he saw a box next to him. It was an artifact that the young man could take for himself. Turning the zombie over, the young man decided to pick up the box. It was a light and sound grenade, and a key fell out next to the zombie, which the young man also decided to pick up. The light and sound grenade was a bronze-level disposable weapon that released a bright light, blinding the enemies around. The duration of the blinded state depended on the sensuality of the enemy's eyes and how much the enemy looked at the light. After picking up this artifact, he had already decided that it was a great thing, and tomorrow he would go to the Lie Estate, and there and try this group control weapon. Holding a grenade in his hands, the hero thought. In the other hand, the young man had a key, and he was wondering if it was the key to all the doors of the center or only from some specific ones. So putting a grenade in his backpack, the young man decided to go further. After all, the less he breaks into the door, the less zombies he will attract, and leaving this zombie on the floor, the young man went in the opposite direction. Opening the door in front of him, he carefully decided to see if there was anyone in this hall. There were a bunch of zombie students in the hall who had played table tennis and other games before, but our hero hid under the tennis table and began counting how many zombies were next to him. He counted 17 in total. They wandered around the room unhindered, knocking each other down. These zombies were almost at the same level in terms of characteristics as our hero, so an ordinary person will need all the strength to cope with one. but if the hero works hard, he will cope with 17. Lin thought to himself and looked at the door ahead. He saw that the hall door was closed. If he made less noise, then the zombies outside won't come. At first, he decided to finish off 2 and go to the 5th level, and then the other 15 will be able to show their martial art. In front of the young man there was a window with his life force, which indicated that he was at the 4th level, and there were only 4 zombies left to kill in order to move to the 5th level. Then he began to attack. At first there was one who was right next to him. After killing him, the young man decided to continue with the others. Then they turned on him and saw that they were in danger and ran to attack our hero with the whole crowd, with their burning red eyes and insane thirst for hunger. The young man, looking at the zombies that were coming at him, was full of confidence and determination that he could defeat everyone and held his sword in his hand, which helped him in the fight against these zombies. Looking only at their legs that were heading towards him, zombie legs, the young man held his sword in his hand, ready to attack. Zombies, of course, did not understand anything, even though they had once been human, but they were no longer alive, and were heading towards the young man only to tear him apart. Therefore, our hero immediately decided to attack the zombies, too, so that they could not attack him first, and putting 2 first, cutting off their arms and legs, he decided to move on. Then more zombies appeared in front of him, and he went straight at them, putting one in the throat first. And then the system congratulated him, because he killed a 2nd level zombie and got 3 experience points and 3 coins. The zombie fell right behind him. Then the system congratulated our hero on the fact that he moved to the 5th level and received 1 point of characteristics of his choice. And before the next level he needed to gain 100 experience points. Closing the system window, the young man decided to look at the quality of his body, which gained another point, and then went into battle again, jumping in front of him right on the table where he had been hiding before. Lin began to inspect the situation. All the zombies continued to climb in his direction, and then from behind, he was attacked by a once former young man who also turned into a zombie. The hero attacked him with his sword and was able to defeat the zombies, but then the door opened and there was a man standing outside the door who was watching what the young man was doing. Seeing how he was fighting with a lot of zombies, the young man jumped back, cursing and fearing that he was unlucky again, because it wasn't him who could kill the zombies. Here in front of him, right on the door, there were dents from human bodies, and the young man, looking at it, thought that, judging by the outlines, they were zombies. The player who is in the room probably had good resources, the guy guessed. A long time later, he decided that he would be able to take the resources from the young man only when he was killed. The guy was sitting near the door and had already despaired of waiting, turning into a shriveled mushroom from how long he had been sitting near this door, waiting for the young man to be killed and he could take his resources. Then the young man decided that it was enough to cool off and wait, because it was getting on his nerves. He decided to open the door and see what was happening to the young man, because it looked like his strength was already running out. Then he would help him go to the next world. It was necessary to figure out how to lure more zombies to the young man. And looking at how our hero is fighting with the last of his strength, this guy was obsessed with the idea of taking the hero's resources and be sure to get out of this situation alive. Lin Ji, still trying to defeat all the zombies that were in front of him, was already on the verge. He had no strength left. Suddenly he heard the cry of another zombie and thought that this only attracted other zombies more. At that moment another one came in the door, and from another door, because of which our new acquaintance was watching our hero earlier, suddenly some noise started, and the young man turned his attention to it. Because any noise could attract zombies, the young man knew about it perfectly well.